Now, as a coach or educational creator, your niche is everything. Not having this right can lead to complete confusion, going in the wrong direction, and not really serving or helping anyone. If you're trying to help everyone, you're basically coaching nobody. So niche confusion is a real problem for creators and educators out there. And I've gone through this personally myself. And your niche is a lot like your GPS for your business and your channel. If you don't know where you're going, then there's no point in going anywhere because you're just going to end up going in the wrong direction. It's not like you can just say, well, we'll just generally head in that direction and hopefully we'll reach our end destination. It just doesn't work like that. And niche confusion is a real thing. And as I said, I've been through this before myself. I've just been through it again recently when I've been pivoting. And sometimes you're too niche, sometimes you're not niche enough, sometimes you think you're speaking to the right people and you're still not. So I'm going to help you get this dialed in and help you really speak to and ask the right questions about your niche, because most of us aren't niche enough, but some of us are also too niche. So there's an exercise that we do inside our community, and this is something that we like to call the 4W statement. So the 4W statement is the who, what, with, and without statement. Now, this is basically to get you to create a statement. It's not necessarily one you have to put on your website or anything like that, but it's to bring clarity for you. So if someone says, what do? You can just say in a single sentence, oh, I help such and such do this, without that. So it just gives you complete clarity on exactly who you serve. And what I find is that we often try to reinvent things. We try to be too clever with our niche. And we try to think of too many abstract things that we may not need to do. Maybe we're trying to reinvent the wheel. And I do this a lot myself as well. We like to try and create demand rather than fill demand. So filling demand when it comes to your niche, who you're targeting, what they want and what they need, is really about seeing what they need and filling that gap, rather than trying to create an offer and then convince them that this is something that they need. Convincing people is always so much harder. So we really want to be looking at the competition first, as your first point always, and see what are they doing? Who are the successful players? What are they doing? Is the demand? Who's buying what? So you want to look for that initially. But then after that, the main thing that I see is the who. The who is almost always the problem. Because especially if we try to go niche, we try to serve more people by adding more who's. So if you've got a solution to something, so for example, if I'm doing YouTube, I believe that every business can benefit from YouTube. People can build businesses with YouTube. They can grow their businesses. They can get leads. They can get clients. They can generate sales. They can build awareness for their products and services. They can do just about anything, and a YouTube channel can just about help everyone. I could frame a YouTube channel to help anyone. I could say starting a YouTube channel is good for your mental health. So you should just record videos and you'll learn new skills and you'll feel better and you'll gain confidence. So literally, you could position the solution for just about anyone. You could make that work for just about anyone. So the solution, the what, the with, the without, is rarely the problem. That tends to be the vehicle. That is what you're going to help them with and how you're going to get them the results. So where I see most of us having problems, myself included fairly recently, is with the who. So we add too many different who's, where really we want to be targeting one group of people. There may be many people that you can help. As I said, we can make a solution fit just about any group out there. But you want to pick one main group. And you really want that to be the people that are going to be your ideal client. So if you're already working with clients, maybe you're already helping people with a particular problem, then you probably want to look at those clients and say, okay, maybe there's a mixture of different clients there. But who are the main ones that you solve problems for? And who are the ideal ones? Who are the ones that are easiest for you to get results? They respond well, they work well with you, and they are your ideal client. And then you really want to look at that and go, well, maybe I should just target them rather than the other ones. So you may want to look at your clients and go, well, who are the hard ones to work with? And I've got a few I'm thinking of right now that are maybe a little bit more complicated for me to work with. And then there's other ones that are a lot more plain sailing. It's just smooth, it's easy. And those are the clients that you're going to be really wanting to focus on. So those are the ones I would say, if you're already working with clients, you want them to try and be your ideal client. And then you want to ask, can you actually fix the problem that they have? Okay, so is there a problem that you can fix for them? And is it a problem that they'll pay for? So can you fix that problem for them? And can they pay money for that problem, for you to fix that problem? Because this is something that we often do. We look for the demand, we see the problem, and we go, I can fix that, I can help you with that. And then we start to help them all. And then we realize that, oh, they don't have any money, or they don't have very much money. So now you've limited yourself. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels, people targeting the finance niche, and this is fantastic. But then they target people and help them save money and basically make their money go further and so on. Well, you're targeting people that don't have money. So therefore, you're going to be problematic when you start to try to sell them problems later on. So you really want to be, ideally, is why a lot of people end up going business to business, because people are willing to invest in their businesses more. But it's not to say that you shouldn't be going for, say, hobby channels and passion, because there can be a lot of money there, and maybe you've got the volume, but maybe you just can't charge them as much. So things like sports and other passion projects and art and fishing and other types of hobbyist channels, say on YouTube and in general, they may be willing to spend a little bit, but you have larger numbers. So it's not to say that you can't make money out of them if you've got the numbers, but if you can't get the money out of them and you don't have the numbers, then this is probably not going to be a good use of your time. You want to be targeting people that have a problem that they want to pay you to fix. They want to pay you to fix that problem. And if they're not going to be paying you, and you're finding yourself often just working a lot for free, or you're really struggling to make the sales, then normally is because you're working against people that aren't willing to spend money. If you hear a lot of people saying things like, oh, I just need to get to this level and then I want to work with you. Well, then you're targeting the wrong people. You should probably be targeting the people that are further down the road, because these beginners here, the beginners market is the biggest and it's fantastic. But if they are saying things such as, I just want to get to this level and then I'll work with you, or I need to make a little bit more money, because I've often helped people make money and they've still not been willing to invest yet. There's always another hurdle and another hurdle. They just want to wait a bit longer and wait a bit longer and wait a bit longer, in which case they are not your people. They are not the people that you want to work with. Not if you want to do high ticket for coaching. Again, you could potentially do low ticket for them, but you need the volume. So that's the thing we then want to ask ourselves. We want to go, is this niche? Have you niched down enough to make you a specialist so that the who has become more focused? Because if the who is too general still, then again, you're serving everyone. So we do want to narrow that down. We do want to come down and understand exactly who we're serving and focusing on one group. But how do we know if it's too niche? Well, I mean, if it's too niche, then what you might see is that you're struggling to get views, or you're struggling to get enough people through the door. If there's not really enough attention and you're not really getting the engagement and the passion from your channel, then that's normally a direct reflection that maybe it's too niche and you need to go a little bit broader. Now, we don't necessarily need to add more who's to go broader. We might just need to expand on the way that we're actually speaking to them. So we go broader with the problems. So we really want to be expanding the way that we're targeting them, speaking on more general topics, but to that same group of people. So we want to go a little bit broader. But generally, if it's too niche, it's when you're going to be struggling to get views. I think niche is great, and sometimes views obviously don't matter, but if you're really getting almost no views at all, then we need to look at your packaging, your messaging, and making sure that you're on point with that. But the how comes later. What we really want to be focusing on is the who and the what. These are the two things that in the beginning you really want to get right, because the how is the technical side doesn't matter as much. We want to have a broader way of reaching our niche and our audience. But too niche, I had this a little bit recently when I was trying to target just school communities. Now, that would be fine if I was helping people with general school growth and just how to manage a school community or general school community problems. But I realized that by going just doing the school community part and then teaching them how to grow that with YouTube, there's only so many people with school communities, and there's only so many of them that actually want to grow with YouTube. So although we could argue that maybe I could find the right 1,000 people on there, I realized that this wasn't targeting the group of people niche enough. So the people that I'm actually targeting are coaches and educators who want to grow their business. School is just a part of that. So I needed to go a bit broader than just school alone. So just school alone was a little bit too niche, so I had to go a bit broader. It's not to say that I don't use school as part of the strategies that I teach, but now I had to go a bit broader to coaches. So coaches as a whole and educators that want to grow their business with YouTube. So that was about the layer down. I couldn't go any deeper than that because just targeting on one particular area of that really narrowed the group of people that I was able to help. So that's where too niche can be a bit of an issue. So for example, I help coaches, this is the 4W statement. This is an example one here. I help coaches get more clients with YouTube. It's crystal clear. It's not I help coaches, educators, experts, and course creators get more clients with YouTube. It's not that. I'm not saying I help school builders, I help course creators, I help businesses in general get more clients with YouTube. Now, I could, but it's going to be all over the place because what would businesses mean? Businesses would be referring to every type of business out there. So do I want to help everybody? Well, I could, but then we're getting to brick and mortar businesses, the technicalities of it, the strategies, they're going to all have to be tweaking a lot. So it's going to be a bit of a chaotic way of doing things. I'm not going to be able to create systems as easy. I'm not going to be able to organize things as easy. So it's going to be quite confusing. So you really want to simplify it down. Know that you're going to reach a broader group of people anyways, but you really want to be speaking to your group of people first and hopefully on a niche but not too niche level. So the main thing is getting the who right and the what right. So I could almost eliminate the YouTube part temporarily because the desire of what people want is coaches who want clients and sales. So that's it. And I'm going to help you get it with YouTube. Straightforward. So yours would hopefully be just as clear. Now, if you've got too many words for the who, too many words for the what, and too many words for the with, then you need to really try to narrow that down to the main ones. It doesn't mean that you can't have a broader description of what you do and how you do it, but you really need to bring that down and try and make it as narrow as possible. So if you're having too many words for these, try to break them down into one main one, just for your own clarity, because this will help you in terms of your GPS. If you know who you serve, you know what content to create for them. You know how to speak to them directly. Because you get clearer, your message gets clearer in your head, and that clarity allows you to move forward. You can move forward, you can sprint forward. You're not worried about this, because if you're not clear, and I had this recently where I chopped and changed between two who's, I wasn't quite sure, then what happens is you run forward, then you realize it's not quite right, and then you have to pivot again. And what this ends is that you're in a cycle of changing your niche and your targeting and your wording and your messaging over and over and over. So you really want to pick one and then move forward with it. Be sure of it, but make sure that you're sure before you move forward. So again, it's just like the GPS. You need to know where you're going first, and then you want to sprint forward. So this is it. Your who is very much your market, who you're targeting. So who are you targeting? And your what is your message. How are you going to target them? So yes, it's what you help them with, but what are you going to speak to? The message that you're going to share. So if my market is coaches, then I know I need to speak to coaches. So therefore, what is it they want? Clients. Then therefore, I know I'm going to be speaking about coaches in the videos and getting clients. This is the wording I'm going to use, the messaging. So it's going to be the who and the what is getting coaches clients. So this part in here is speaking about helping coaches get clients. And then the with is obviously with YouTube. But overall, the main part of the messaging, maybe YouTube won't even be in every video. The main part I'm speaking about is always going to be getting coaches clients. So that's the main part of the messaging. So you want to get crystal clear on your messaging because it's going to make your life so much easier to move forward quickly. And, you know, learn from my mistakes on this. I got cocky and thought I was so sure of who I was targeting. And you really want to take the time to work through understanding your niche and who your avatar is, who you're meant to be targeting. Now, if you would like more free training on this, we do have our community, our free community, which I will link to in the video description, where we'll go through this in a lot more detail to help you find your who, what, with, and without statement and get some clarity on exactly who you serve, so you know how to message and speak to them inside of your videos to get them off of YouTube so that you can generate leads and sales for your business. All right, I'll see you in the next one.